All right, welcome to another episode of Wild and Well Together. He said, she said. Today we're going to talk about gratitude. Hands up, something I'm not the best at, Becca, but I'm hoping by the end of the day, or in the discussion here, you pointed me in the right direction to find some practices of gratitude. And as told to me by you, gratitude isn't just a good habit, it's a mental reset button. Even when you fake it, your brain starts to believe it. I think my task leaving here today is going to figure out how I can fake it so I can start believing it.
I
How
don't
you
think
doing
you're
today?
alone in that either. I really don't think you're alone in that.
Okay. All right, we're going to find out. Before we get into it, I want to check in with you. What's up? What's the latest? And then I want to get into Hilo Buffalo.
Coming in today, doing well. Hi, I'll get into it. And we are in school for a couple months now, and we're feeling it. Tonight we're doing Chinese takeout, which is great. I'm going to leave it at that because I'm just excited to
Please.
not have to cook. I'm excited to taste it. We have a great place down the road from us, and my husband's picking up, coming back from his work. So wins all
You know
around.
where I'm suggesting Chinese takeout is coming from
I
in
do.
Denver.
When you all come back out here, we can go. It's a little far of a drive, and we found one that is, let's say that one's a 5-star. This is a 4.7, 4.8, so it's still fine.
Okay, great.
So
All right, Homes
when you come out,
Palace.
I will not change and try and sway your opinion. However, I still feel like my taste buds are dancing, so we're in a good place.
We'll just do the Denver Chinese food tour as tourist normally does in Denver. That makes sense. Yeah.
Nonetheless,
Okay.
there is decent food here.
It's great food in Denver. We're just not known for our Chinese food there.
No. But Nick loves
Okay.
Chinese food so much to the point that he said, I think Panda is no longer fast food. And I said, just because you like it, like just because you will take Chinese food in any, like from the most authentic in Asia to Panda Express, he could eat Chinese food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner and have different, like dim sum to just anything. So anyways, we go to takeout. That's really close to our house. The couple that owns it are fantastic and their sons run it. And so that's the high that I'm coming in with. Low would be, we are tired, like I just said. And so we've just had higher behaviors in our house. And that includes me where I'm like, okay, how am I doing these 60 seconds to centered breath work? Oh my gosh, I'm feeling angry or I just want the kids to chill out or I feel like too many things are on my plate, overwhelmed. And so coming to a place of grounding, because it doesn't mean as a therapist, I don't have those thoughts and feelings. I also have the tools. And so putting them to good use is most advantageous. And I'm also human, so this week I missed some works, and that's okay. The Buffalo, the random story of my family is I took my kids to go visit my grandmother. She lives in St. Louis. If you go to St. Louis, go to the zoo there. It is free. My family and I are walking around, and I tell a joke. What do you get when you mix an elephant and a rhino? Elephino. So I say that. This was 2 weeks back that we were
A
there.
classic dad joke, by the way.
And so then this Saturday, Nick was not with us. And all I said it was one time. This past week, we're driving to go meet friends for a family get together. And Marcus is in the back and he goes, Dad, I got a really good joke for you. Dad, what do you get when you mix an elephant and a rhino? Perfectly timed elephant. And you would
Start
have
him
thought
young.
that I taught my kid every word in the dictionary because Nick looks at me and he's like, Beck, we went down that road. And literally my response back was like, he nailed it. I told it one time. That kid nailed it. Like, bravo. So anyways, that's my fun story of the week. Kind of all over the place, but what do you get when you mix an elephant
Tough
and a
to
rhino?
teach comedic timing, you know?
I know.
So
Maybe we have
when the force is strong with this one.
Yeah, maybe we have the next stand-up. We'll see.
Okay, all
Where are
right.
you
Well, I've
coming
had a
in,
good
though?
week.
What's your high?
I've had a good week. My high is my best friends in California are moving down the street. 2-minute walk. We're talking like compound living vibes almost, just
That
build a
is the
tunnel.
dream.
Oh yeah, it's the best. So very excited about that.
Come
There
on.
you go.
That is literally the millennial dream, is that we would have
Yeah.
villages and compounds and communal gatherings. Okay.
Yeah.
Beautiful high.
It's going to be great. The low is just general work overwhelm. We don't have to go into it. We're trying to build a lot of stuff. We're trying to stand up a lot of things while managing what's already on our plate. I say we as my team and I, and yeah, so I personally felt overwhelmed. My Buffalo, I don't even know if this qualifies as a Buffalo, but I can't. This actually ties in today. I have extreme gratitude for bulk trash pickups. Okay. You've accumulated trash that doesn't fit in a bin. It's just sitting outside, squirreled away in a corner of the house that you don't want to show people. and it sits there, it collects dust, and you wait and wait for that day that the municipality will come by, pick up your stuff. This stuff is too big to fit in the back of my SUV. And I got that out there. I feel like everything's clean now. I'm looking at a cluttered house. It's okay. My bulk trash has been picked up and I am free as could be. So if this resonates with anyone else that loves a good bulk trash pickup, the analogs to this, a big donation drop off, a run to the dump, it's a level of millennial high that I didn't anticipate, but I relish it now.
I love that for you. That's sweet that your neighborhood picked that up on a regular or semi, and you don't have to haul it away. That's beautiful.
That's part of the beauty of it is you get like 2 a year, and man, when
Oh,
that time comes around, it's Christmas morning. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
oh,
Yeah, they
n-
make us wait as they and we wouldn't enjoy it as much if we didn't, but
yeah.
when it comes
I
around,
love it.
you better believe I take
I get
advantage.
why you're pumped now. That's fun
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you have, yeah, deep gratitude for bulk trash pickup. Tell me, where do you sit with gratitude? This concept of gratefulness and gratitude practices.
We're talking 1 to 10?
Yeah, 1 to 10.
1 to 10, okay. How I assign importance to it?
Yeah.
8. How good I am at it? 4.
Okay. I appreciate the
Yeah.
honesty. So gratitude to you, because so for all the listeners, let me give backstory. John and I have known each other for, if you're just tuning in now, we've known each other since kindergarten. So you're a dear friend to me. So that's why I call him out on the spot there. I am an eternal optimist. I don't know why. It doesn't mean I don't have my own struggles. I definitely have my own struggles. Innately, though, within me is, let's see how the sun shines here, or once the sun goes down, trusting that it'll come back up. And in my moments of postpartum depression and some of those other things where I didn't have that naturally come, gratitude practices rewrote a lot of my mental health needs and struggles. And so gratitude for me is a key pillar in my life. And so that's why I bring that up of, where's it at for you, John? Because I would say gratitude on that scale that you just gave, gratitude of understanding it and believing in the importance of it was instilled in me, like, very important. 8 to 10. How well I did when I was in my deepest, darkest struggles was like a 2 to 4. And now moving through it, because those became regular rhythms and rituals that I chose to do, now gratitude is more in sync with importance and behavior. And so that's why I bring that into the group. That's why I want to offer it to the wild ones, to our listeners. Just where does gratitude sit for you? And it's okay if you're like, it just feels like a cheesy thing of the culture in today's time. So
I when I assigned my rating, it was based on how I how I practice gratitude or my frequency of practice of gratitude. And for most of my life, I would say that gratitude, I'm just a caveman walking along and a lightning bolt strikes. And it's like, I feel really thankful for this or happy about this. And so there's no practice. It's just kind of unintentional. I just go about things and then it just hits you sometimes. Whereas I know people that make it a daily practice, the intention behind having gratitude, that's where just getting on the path, not far down it. Sounds like you are much further down this path and haven't spent the 21 days to make it a habit yet.
yeah, that's okay. I mean, and it's right. Sometimes some people say it's a 17-day. No, I'm just kidding. But I do believe in that because in my own life I've experienced it. Our mindsets can therefore then change our behaviors. But what I will say in it is, gratitude is a fake it till you make it practice. I want to give permission to the listeners, to you, John, to myself, to say, the dopamine hits and the serotonin and all these things that happen biologically within us, our brain does not know if we are faking it or if we are not. Our brain doesn't know if we are facing a mountain lion and a bear and our fear rising in us is from an actual trauma situation right in front of us, or if it's that we just pulled up CNN and see that there is war in the Middle East and all these X, Y, and Z things happening. So then I feel fearful there. Our brain doesn't recognize the difference on the fearful side. It also doesn't recognize it on the gratitude and dopamine serotonin side. And so the reason I share both sides of the same coin is because research and evidence-based information fake it till you make it, because what it'll do is it will increase our dopamine levels. It will increase our serotonin, and we can come to a place of more joy, more laughter, more calm, space that is not filled with us operating at a heightened level. I offer that. All right, get into your story and your relationship with it, if you will.
As I said, like it'll hit me on occasions where I go, wow, this thing in my life is great. What I found is what gets me in a cadence of gratitude is back to the rhythms and rituals discussion that we had is church, like is taking that time out to do all the things that entails to worship throughout the course of that hour. Inevitably come back to the things that I'm thankful for. So at least 3 times a month or twice a month that's happening. But I
Yeah.
I think I also look at I've got friends that will like journal. Don't make a practice of journaling. Probably should. I know, but I don't.
No shoulds.
And
No should.
people daily gratitude practice. That is the thing that feels far out of reach. So that's my one practice that I do. Just go to church.
Beautiful.
I've been thinking about this though, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. Do you think giving a sincere compliment to someone is a form of gratitude? Those
Yes.
two is that a different thing?
Yes is my answer, but go into why you're asking that or play that out.
The compliment in the sense that you're noticing something about somebody that you appreciate to the point that you feel like calling it out. Not passive aggressive, real compliment that it's like, wow, you're really good at that. Or that's an awesome pair of shoes. Something that you notice about someone that you feel like you need to let them know.
Yeah,
I
I
feel
think
like
it's
that's a form of gratitude. Am I doing this right? Is my question, Becca.
yeah. I mean, look, I'm not the expert in that regards. What I'd say in that is the brain's role is not to address emotions in the sense of knowing if that emotion is truthful or not. The
Okay.
emotions are the response to the prefrontal cortex addressing what is happening and processing what is happening. To your question is you see a person and you say, "Oh, I like your shoes," or that presentation you just gave was so good. That is an appreciation for them and appreciation for life. And if I can appreciate that, that automatically tells my brain, my hindbrain using my front to say, I am safe, I am okay. Then the next step to that would be with the front, I am thankful that I am safe and I'm okay. Or subconsciously saying, I'm really glad that I'm not having to fight in a war right now. Or I'm really glad that I don't have to hold space for my kids to process this. Or I'm really glad that I have food on my table. Right? Something as genuine as that brings us into an awareness of the community around and brings us into awareness of our existence, practically speaking, an awareness for others and our relationship then within that gives us the opportunity to become grateful. The compliment itself, I think it's a reflection of awareness and maybe even gratitude. How do we
Yeah.
become more aware of things around us? Trusting then that that will lead to gratitude.
Maybe it starts with what would someone say outside in about you, right? So
Mm.
what would someone say about your situation? Oh, you're so fortunate you have X, Y, or Z, or you are X, Y, and Z. And taking the step of just believing that, of saying I am thankful for X, Y, and Z, if it saying it rather than before you actually believe it. Maybe it starts there. The practical tools to get there is that's where the rubber hits the road. I don't have those. I think the answer that is very common these days is keep a journal or daily gratitude practice. I could try that.
Again, John, you're not alone. And your vulnerability to say, I don't know. And I don't like this. I don't like the idea of having a gratitude journal. That is so important here. So
Hey, wild ones. As we're editing this episode, we realized we'd be remiss if we didn't give you a few practical tools to ground all this talk about gratitude. That's part of our growth, too, making sure every conversation connects back to something you can try. So, here where John talked about wanting practical tools, we decided to go back in and add those as it makes sense. There are tons of books, apps, and exercises out there if you love to read or explore. And honestly, Jarbeek, that's our just a really brilliant editor in chief, our AI buddy, is a great place to start if you ever want to look up more gratitude practices. You are not alone if you have yet to learn these, and it is ongoing for all of us. It's a lifelong journey to become more grounded, more resilient, more peace giving. The first tool: instead of journaling at night, pick 3 moments throughout the day to pause and notice something good happening right now. Example: first sip of coffee, a kid's laugh, the way sunlight hits the floor. The goal: train your attention towards presence, not perfection. Tip: set a phone alarm labeled "Notice one good thing." Number 2, thank you from your former self. Once in a while, pause and imagine your younger self writing Or actively write a thank you from your younger self to the present you who says, hey, put your name there. Thank you for. For example, hey, John, thank you for showing up in 2025. You've become more than we could have ever imagined back when we were scared and figuring it all out. Cheers, your college self. Hey, Becca, thank you for keeping your heart open when it would have been easier to shut it down. Cheers, your 13-year-old self. Hey, 15-year-old me, look at us. We made it here. You'd be proud. Why it works. This version of gratitude taps self-compassion and perspective. It reframes growth as a gift you've already given your younger self, and it helps integrate your story, not just improve your mood. Exercise number 3, breathe in thanks, breathe out ease. Take 1 quiet minute at your desk, eyes opened or closed. Inhale slowly. Thank you for something in that exact moment. The coffee, your focus, even the chair supporting you. Then exhale slowly and repeat. May I release tension, pressure, or erasing thought, perhaps. Repeat 3 to 5 times, inhaling thank you and exhaling the release of something hard. If it helps, match it to your surroundings, like syncing with the hum of your computer or the rhythm of typing nearby. Why it works. It anchors gratitude to the body, not just the mind. It's a reset that transforms a workday pause into a micro meditation on presence and perspective. Number 4, gratitude in connection. When you notice someone in your day, a coworker, neighbor, or a friend, acknowledge them and silently or out loud express gratitude for their presence. Example thoughts. I'm glad you're here. Thank you for that smile. It's nice to see you today. An optional twist, send a micro message, a text, Slack, or DM, just a line appreciating them. It can be playful or lighthearted. Hey, just grateful you exist. Why it works. Gratitude becomes relational, not just internal. Awareness and you strengthen your awareness that you're not alone and that human connection is an everyday gift. It's a tiny but powerful social mindfulness practice that creates ripples of well-being around you. Gratitude isn't solo either. I like to call it one of the 2 G's with students, gratitude and grief. They're sisters, 2 sides of the same coin, and we can hold both to be true at the same time. What cannot exist at the same time is gratitude and fear. Often fear plays out as stress. When we allow gratitude and grief to coexist, we create space for presence, acceptance, and real emotional change. Thank you for listening to the added portion of He Said, She Said Gratitude, practical tools. If they work for you, great, utilize them. If they don't, let them go. Now, jumping back into the rest of the conversation.
And so one of the things is that gratitude interrupts the stress loop. And this idea of stress is going over and over again. Gratitude and fight or flight, what I was talking about with the bear, those 2 things cannot exist at the same time. We are either grateful and dopamine and serotonin is hitting, or I'm in fight or flight. And I can't do both at the same time. My brain just does not do that, does not compute. And so in that, maybe even this discussion is coming to a place of like trusting that, okay, my brain is going to do the work that it needs to. Let me just try it, right? And say, okay, what am I aware of? I guess why I keep coming back to aware of is because when we are in a really stressful situation, bringing awareness to what's around us is the quickest way to bring gratitude into our sphere. So it may be, I'm aware of my kids around me. Oh, I'm aware now that my kids are giggling. I'm aware that I really love when my kids who is around me and giggles just came and jumped on me. That felt good. Or I'm aware how my daughter just treated her sister well, or whatever those may be. Those are stacked then on top of each other. So now the neural pathways, and this is getting super nerdy, but now the neural pathways, those highways are running deeper and deeper. And so then they become a regular rhythm for us. When I am heading in towards that stress, I can say, oh, I'm aware that I have a water on my table. Oh, I'm aware that the water that I drink actually is really cold and nourishing today. And I start stacking that, flex that gratitude muscle. What I will compare it to then is this idea of just like stacking weights when I go to the gym. First time I might use 5 pounds, 3 pounds. right? And then slowly I can do 10 pounds, or slowly then I build up to 12 or 15 or 20. And that's where I stop. Maybe that's where gratitude is too, though, for people is I'm on the 3. I notice it when I do, and then I don't at other times. I'm guessing that gratitude actually is happening and we're just not calling it what it is. And move through that into a place of finding beauty and awareness. I share that because that's probably the biggest piece to me that changed in postpartum how I felt. Was for a while I was like, "Oh, but I have 2 babies, but I have a roof over my head. Why am I feeling these and having these emotions when and not wanting to get up when I have a husband who's like showing up for me," right? Like I could should have all the way out of it or try and convince myself that I needed to feel different than what I did. But the reality is I had postpartum depression, which was very real. And I also could learn to be grateful. And through different supports, community, and then also some practices, journaling was one for me. It wasn't sharing my guts like I did back in the day on a Backstreet Boys binder that then had a little lock key. But that then was shared with my best friend who had the same thing, but then her own lock, and it was like BFFs. Yeah. So that's it's not the same story now. But for me, it was writing three things down. It was an awareness. I shared this with Her Huddle, another podcast episode, because for me, this was what changed how I thought of gratitude. Is my own goal was just to look around the room and say, I'm grateful for a computer. I am grateful for legs that walk. I am grateful for access to a pen to take notes. Something so simple as that. It didn't have to be this abstract, deep spiritual. I think the spirit works within that, but it didn't have to be this deep spiritual thing.
No, I've got one other bill just real quickly. I think the analog I have to this is when I was playing football, there was a big game and feeling nervous. Like really, it's nerves like the bear is there. And through really good coaches or leaders on my team, whatever it may be, or just I don't exactly remember how I landed on this, but switching the nerves of the game and don't mess up to thank you for the opportunity and saying it before you really believe it. Transition these nerves into adrenaline to switch back to fun, to presence, and playing more freely. Essentially, all the things that you need to do that I need to do to play my best. And I think there are scenarios where maybe that's useful for me at least. Is there are things, whether it's at work or other parts of my life, where it's this looming thing, or you have to be in the moment rather than showing up with nerves or fearing the bear. Converting that to the opportunity is, as you talk through this and this is what I guess I do as a gratitude practice. I don't think it fits in every scenario, but I think that's one way to show up in these high pressure scenarios where I've worked for this. It's a privilege for you to get to do this, or it's a privilege to be a part of this thing. It works for some scenarios in my mind.
You just shared about football. A practical tool that I will ask back to you is what is something you really enjoy that you find meaning in and allows you to be your most John self? For example, I love to go on walks. I love to be in nature, Colorado girl through and through. And so for me, I have now found beauty and I will choose to go on walks to get outside to just say fresh air on my face because I'm not playing soccer anymore. I'm not doing things that I used to do. And so having that fresh air on my face, now I can say thank you for the sun. And it might be out of my head and actually into my body. So my question specifically is there something that you don't actually name it and you're not like, I am thankful for? It is, I come alive when I do this. What would that be?
The answer that scales to a bunch of different parts of my life would be not as activity driven as it is frame of mind. I think I thrive when I have given a lot of effort to a task, and I get to showcase, put in practice, or execute what all the work was for. This shows up in a number of different ways. If I've worked really hard on something at work and we're ready to go, I'm like, there's no nerves, I'm very calm and excited at the opportunity to share what I have done, what we have done. If I'm building something at home, it is thrilling to put the piece of furniture that I built into the place where it's supposed to go. And so that it's not just one thing as it is the culmination of feeling like I've put my best effort forward and getting to see that come to life.
Beautiful.
There are more common practices, but that's how gratitude hits me in lightning bolts, not on a regular cadence, but when I've done.
Yeah. And so what I'd say is fill your life with more opportunities for that, to build those neural pathways. As you say, like, oh, I don't actually do that. You are a really positive, kind human. And so I am coming to the place of how do you become more aware of how grateful you are for life and how grateful you are for opportunities. And maybe it comes at the weight. Those aren't mutually exclusive, that you feel like actually hold so much weight in your life. So I want to acknowledge that a lot of men hold that silence, right? That's why we said that we would do this, is because men hold, and women too, but we'll give the men where they deserve to be, is you hold this silent weight of, hey, how do I show up positively? How do I show up with strength? How do I show up with all these things while inside and internally really struggling to find fulfillment, or to, live a joyful life as a kid does, or have my inner child feel grateful that I'm just around, or that I'm alive, or things like that and such. So for that particular situation where you're like, I like to see the product through, right? The very first thing you say is, I'm a builder. I am a builder in our very first episode. And so where can you push into that more and create more space for you to build in any sphere, even if that's cooking, even that's making a coffee with a cool design on it, even if it's with your kids building Legos. Like, oh, that'd be my encouragement for you. For me, I just shared how I love to go on a good walk. This week, I went on 2. That's it. And so for me, I'm like, walking literally is free. I live in a safe area. It's a solo activity, or can be. There's no reason that can't be a regular practice of mine. So that's something that I'm committing to. 2 seconds to centered. What I would say for this week is, sure, write 3 things down like I shared earlier, but the other option for it is to just sit with yourself and say, what do I enjoy the most? What makes me come alive? Allows the innocence of childhood to come back, and go do that. Spend anywhere from 60 seconds all the way to an hour, or whatever it may be that your time allots. But then we're not forcing it. We're just saying, hey, let me do something that brings me down out of fear and out of stress, and knowing that a bear is not going to chase me, knowing that I don't have any to-dos in the inbox that I have to address right now, and saying, okay, great, I can just go be who I was designed to be in a way that is very practical, tactical. So a lot here today. There's going to be people
Yeah.
that relate, that are like, oh, crush a gratitude thing, and others that are like, get me off this train yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, turns out I'm a little bit better than I thought at it, at gratitude, but not fully formed yet, which is, such is life.
Yeah, you got another 70 years to live. Let it bake.
Yeah,
You
I
don't have
hope
to
another
you don't have to be
70.
your final self today. But
Okay,
okay, maybe
cool.
65, but it's good to see you.
Yeah.